Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 ways to increase the drying time of your oil paintings. There are a number of factors that affect this, and they are the temperature, the pigment, the medium, and also the surface that you paint on. Typically, in warmer temperatures, oil paint will dry a lot faster. And also, depending on what pigment you use, that will also affect the drying time. Cadmiums dry really slow, whereas earth pigments will dry really fast. And also, different mediums will also affect the drying time of your oil paint. I'm going to talk about tips in all of these areas that will really speed up the drying time of your oil paintings. My name is Amanda and I'm an oil painter. In this channel, you'll find different tips and tricks on how to do oil painting. If you like my videos, I do have 2 free ebooks that's available for download at the link below. Without further ado, let's get started. Oil paint doesn't actually dry by evaporating like watercolor or acrylic paint. It dries by curing, which means it dries by oxidization. This is when the oil paint reacts with the oxygen in the air and then it hardens over time. There are some common mistakes that artists make when trying to speed up the drying time of their painting, and it ends up damaging the painting. Some common mistakes include putting the painting under direct sunlight, which can actually damage the pigment. It could yellow the pigment and it could increase the chances of it cracking. Some artists will also blow a hairdryer directly on the canvas. This will make the nearby dust and debris stick to the surface, and the intense heat from the dryer makes the surface layers of paint dry before the bottom layers. This could also make the paint crack over time. And in general, leaving your painting outside or in a dusty environment can make the debris stick to the surface, so you want to stay away from that. So in order to protect your painting and let it dry naturally, here are 4 ways to effectively speed up the drying time of your oil paintings. Number 1, you want to be selective with the type of pigment that you use. As I mentioned before, earth colors typically dry fast. This includes burnt umber, burnt sienna, Prussian blue, raw umber, and cobalt blue. Colors that dry slow include cadmiums, titanium white, ivory black, alizarin crimson, and sap green. So what you can do to speed up the drying time of your paint is to mix a quick drying paint with a slow drying paint. For instance, if you're using ivory black, which dries really slow, you can mix in some burnt umber or burnt sienna, which won't alter the color that much. This will speed up the drying time of your black without having to add oil medium to the pigment. Number 2, select the right oil mediums to use. Apply fat over lean concepts using quick drying mediums before slow drying mediums. This is probably the most important factor in deciding how long or how slow you can complete your painting. Lower layers should always have more thinner and less oil, where upper layers should have more oil and less thinner. This allows the bottom layers to dry before subsequent layers. Quick drying oils include linseed oil, galkyd, walnut alkyd medium, liquin, or any type of medium that has quick drying in the label. When mixed with oil paint, these mediums will speed up the drying time, and it can even dry your painting overnight. On the other hand, safflower oil yields moderate drying time, and poppy seed oil yields the slowest drying time. You can also use a thinner like turpentine or odorless mineral spirit in your first couple of layers of paint, which speeds up the drying time and allows the subsequent layers of paint to bind on it better. And number 3, allow your painting to dry under the right temperatures. As I mentioned before, oil paint dries faster in warmer temperatures. Before you leave your painting out to dry, place it in a cardboard box or a clear container to prevent the dust and debris from sticking onto it, and then place it in a warm environment. If you're using a clear container, make sure that it's out of direct sunlight. For example, you can place your painting in a car trunk if it is parked in a hot environment, or you can place it on top of the fridge where it's warm. Or you can also put it in front of a heater or a heat dish, but make sure it's not too hot. When you place your hand where the painting is, it should feel warm but not hot or burning. Other ways to increase the temperature is to use a hair dryer and blow at the back of the canvas, not at the front, since it can overheat and crack the paint. And dust can also stick to the painting. So the bottom layers, you want it to dry before the top layers and prevent dust from sticking to it. As a side tip, if it's possible, lower the humidity of the environment by using a dehumidifier, or dry the painting on the top floor of your house as opposed to the basement. Keep the painting away from areas of the house that is typically more humid, like the bathroom, laundry room, kitchen, basement, and also keep the place ventilated. And lastly, choose the right surface to paint on. You can paint your underpainting in acrylic paint. Acrylic paint dries really fast and it can be painted on similar surfaces as oil paint. You can paint oil paint directly on top of dried acrylic paint. So this is a great option if there's a large coverage of similar tones and values in the underpainting. Another thing you can do is paint on wood. One of the pros of painting on wood is that the oil tends to get absorbed into the wood, even when it's primed with gesso. I find that oil paint dries faster on wood than it would on canvas because the more slippery the surface, the longer it's going to take the oil paint to bind to it and dry. The more tooth on the surface, the better the oil paint is going to bind to it. Because wood tends to absorb the oil out of the paint, the resulting finish will actually look more matte than glossy. So that's something to keep in mind. So these are my tips on how to speed up the drying time of your oil paintings. I hope you all found this video helpful. Let me know of any questions in the comments below. Again, my free ebooks are still available for download at the link below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.